All right, I think we are live now, and this is the PMC Lounge Live. Welcome back to the PMC Lounge Live. We go live every Friday, at least we try to. So, definitely consider subscribing if you want to learn about real life project management. You know, we will cover a lot about PMP and other certifications. We have hundreds of videos on our channel. But when we go live, we try to cover the practical aspects of project management that can help you grow in your career, right? So, whether you are a newbie, you might be a mid level climber, or you might be a project management guru, a pro, we have got something for you for sure. Now, today is going to be a little different because today I want to talk about my personal project management experience. And that is where I keep saying to a lot of people that is what differentiates me from several other PMP and project management trainers and so called mentors and gurus out there because I have actual practical project management experience. I'm not an author, I'm not just a trainer. I have commercially managed projects. This is what project management is, what I do for living, right? I don't write books for living, I don't create Udemy courses for a living and try to sell them. I do project management for a living, right? So in this video I am going to be talking about 5 lessons that I have learned so far in my career as a project manager, and these lessons are going to help you the most if you are a newbie project manager. But even if you have spent a few years in the industry, even if you have spent over a decade in the industry, I'm pretty sure you're going to learn something out of this live session today. So get ready for these actionable tips, a lot of insights, and maybe a few laughs along the way. Buckle up and let's do this. This is a bit of an introduction about me. For our live crew, I would urge you to grab some food and maybe a drink of choice. Water is the best, it's the key to stay hydrated, right? And even if you're joining us in the replay, right? If you're the replay crowd, smash that like button, show the support, share this with someone who you think might benefit. And even if you are a newbie here, if you are a newbie to our live section, our sessions, our live sessions, right? Not sections. So our live sessions basically follow a three-part flow. This is the welcome section right now where we are in right now. Then the feature content. This is where we get down to brass tacks on the topic. And the last call where we tie things down. So we are essentially in the welcome section. I'd like to remind you about pmclounge.com. PMC stands for Project Management Certifications, but we are way more than just certification exams. Our mission has always been to simplify project management. We want to break down complex topics into easily understandable language. And thousands of our community members have actually passed their PMP exam by making use of the playlists on our channel. So definitely subscribe, definitely take advantage of all the playlists that covers all the knowledge areas, everything that you need to know to prepare for your PMP exam. Everything is absolutely free. We have some premium courses as well. You can join us on YouTube. You can check out our Udemy courses. Everything, all of these details are available on pmclounge.com. So definitely go there to pmclounge.com. You will find all the resources that you're looking for, right? So we are also active on all the socials. Definitely give us a follow, especially on our Telegram channel to stay in the loop. All right, let's move on to the quote of the day. Of all the things I've done, the most vital is coordinating the talents of those who work for us and pointing them toward a certain goal. This is something that was said by Walt Disney. What do you think about this, right? Isn't he talking about project management? I think he definitely is talking about project management. And when I talk about today's topic, that is 5 lessons that no textbook are going to teach you, right? None of the textbooks out there are going to teach you these 5 lessons about project management, because these are my personal lessons that I've learned over the years working as a project manager. And one of these lessons is something that you will find related to the quote that we just said. By the way, if you have anything about this quote, definitely drop a comment, let me know below, right? So as project managers, we often talk about importance of lessons learned, right? It is crucial to regularly take time to reflect on our own personal lessons as well, which is what I'm doing today. So this self reflection helps in continuous improvement and growth, allowing us to become more effective in our roles. I personally have had the opportunity to work on projects of different sizes and within different industries. And these projects have ranged from routine maintenance tasks, which a lot of people in the industry called keeping the lights on. So there were projects like those, and then there were major transformational projects as well, transformational efforts. I'll give you an example. HP broke up into HP Enterprise and HP Inc., and I was one of the project managers handling their networking pieces, making sure that the HP Enterprise network, the IT network that is totally separate from the HP Incorporated, HP Inc. network, right? So such transformational projects are also something that I've worked on. Now, throughout my career, every project has basically left me with some new lessons and perspectives. And if I could go back in time, there are specific lessons I would want to share with my younger self before even I became a project manager. And it was actually pretty challenging for me to narrow down the list and trying to narrow it to just 5 lessons. But I wanted to do this. I would like to emphasize that if I had the chance to revisit and advise my past self, or a lot of people out there who are young project managers who want to get into project management, even those who are budding project managers, right? These lessons are definitely going to help you out. So I hope this live session helps you out. Let's get started and let's try to understand the 5 most important lessons that I have learned in my project management career. Number one is maintaining the team's focus. Surprise, surprise. I'm not talking about schedules. I'm not talking about cost. I'm not talking about risk management. I'm just talking about plain simple ensuring that your team remains focused on whatever the challenges there are, right? You are going to face challenges in aligning the team's focus, right? So there are several challenges that you're going to face here. I'm not talking about the triple constraints here. The reason for that is project management as a field is not just a technical field. uh, you as a project manager are not supposed to just have the technical project management knowledge, and I'll talk about that as well in one of my later lessons learned that we'll discuss. But you as a project manager, it's good, it's required for you to be able to manage schedule, cost, risk, and all that. But maintaining team's focus is very, very crucial. End of the day, if you were to look at the career of a project manager, right, whatever that a project manager does on a day to day basis, if you were to go at a 10,000 feet level and look at the way project managers manage project, you will find that this is not really a technical role. Of course, there are elements of managing schedules and cost and all that, but end of the day, this is a people management role. And that is why, as a project manager, it is important for you to have the soft skills that are required. And that is why I would say my first lesson learned was that this is a people management goal. You, as a leader, need to maintain the team's focus. There are going to be challenges in maintaining the aligned focus of the team, right? It is incredibly challenging for sure, right? So before becoming a project manager, I didn't realize how difficult it was to keep a team concentrated on a shared vision and a set of outcomes. So I diligently described project objectives. I worked on project scope, and this is something that I'm talking about in my initial career, right? So I'm looking at the scope statement, I'm looking at the project requirements, right? And I'm thinking, all these documents is what people can refer to and be focused. But it takes much more than that. It's not just documents, by the way. So that is why, ensuring that the team is focused remains of utmost importance. Importance of continuous reinforcement. Now, over time, I also observed that team would gradually lose sight of shared priorities and goals. So even if you have all the documents, even if you want to, even if you did your kickoff and you told everyone, this is the reason why we are doing this project and this is our schedule and cost and scope and all that, that's fine. But if you do not reinforce the goals continuously, team members might end up working on tasks that may not even align with the original objectives of your project, right? So, this drift is often due to unexpected paths and unforeseen obstacles that we encounter, especially during long projects. So, if your projects are smaller, it is likely that the team will stay tightly knit to whatever that needs to be delivered, right? So, we just have 2 weeks' time, we have 8 days to write code, right? So, they might be very tightly knit to whatever the goal of that specific sprint or that specific iteration is. But on long term projects, it is important to reinforce the goals of your projects. What is the role of the project manager here, right? So, a crucial responsibility of a project manager is to keep the team focused on the project's ultimate goals, benefits, values. And that is why I mentioned that project manager as a role is not a technical role, it is a people management role. And that is why I mentioned the role of the project manager becomes very important here when it comes to maintaining the team's focus. A lot of senior people on your project, senior engineers, there might be, they might be part of your project, and there might be, technical challenges, technical discussions, and people with different technical knowledge trying to argue over what is the best way to deliver the project, right? And those are the times when it becomes even more important for you to ensure as a project manager that your team is focused on the goals of the project. So, this continuous focus on the end goals are going to ensure that the team remains cohesive and they work towards the same objectives, even when they face, arguments, even when they face any kind of clash of technical opinions. Let's talk about second point, which is building trust. Now, you might think, well, you're working in a corporate environment, you're working in a professional environment, everyone trusts everyone, right? But it's not that simple. The point is, there are challenges in building trust. You, as a project manager, are leading the team. And when you're leading the team, building trust becomes a significant challenge. So, before I became a project manager, I basically didn't fully understand how difficult it is to, build trust, because like I said, I visualized myself working as a project manager, leading a team of technical people, and working with them. And obviously it's a professional environment, everyone trusts everyone. It's not like we are best friends, but everyone trusts everyone, so building trust should not be a problem. I thought that way, but I was very, very wrong. You, as a project leader, a project manager, you require this leadership role, right? So, successful leadership requires being deeply attuned to what your team needs to succeed. You must position team members to meet objectives and provide them with the necessary resources that they need to, complete their tasks. So for project managers, this must be accomplished through influence rather than direct authority, and that is where building trust becomes important. And this basically adds another layer of complexity for sure. But I'd like to tell you that, as a project manager, most of the times you will end up working in a matrix environment. where nobody reports to you. You are not responsible for anyone's career growth. And since people don't report to you, they report to their own functional managers. How will you get the work done from them? This is where building trust becomes so important. You need to influence people, and there are several books around influence. Influencing without authority, these three words, if you use them in any of your job interviews, you have definitely gained at least one brownie point in that job interview, because influencing without authority is one of the biggest tasks of a project manager. And how does this influence work? Right, we talk about social media, and you see so many influencers out there. There's a term called influencer marketing. People that you follow, if they are promoting a product, you might be influenced to purchase that product. How are you influenced? You are influenced because over the time, over the years, or over the months, this influencer has created content, and through that content, this influencer has gained your trust. And that is where building trust comes into the picture. So you have to build trust with your team so that you can influence them in getting your work done. Now, there are obviously some elements of successful leadership. I just talked about one, which was about being able to influence your team. It can also involve some rough patches. Building trust also can also involve some rough patches, right? Where you, let's say, establish norms and you learn how to work together. For example, it is possible that you work with two different teams. One is based in, and both these teams are based in two different time zones. One team is based in India, the other team is based in US. So you might have to create ground rules, and that's where the tough patch comes into the picture, right? You might have to say that, hey, people working in India, you might have to join a one call each week which takes place in your late evening. Or people working in US, you might have to join one call per week which takes place in your evening, right? So these are the kind of ground rules that you might have to create. But all of these are part of building that trust. All of these are part of being able to influence the team to follow your decisions, right? So there, things like these can lead to volatile periods for sure, but overcoming these volatile periods requires consistent support, it requires patience, it requires effective conflict resolution as well. So you have to put in the hard work during this, these initial phases when the team is new and all that, so that you can gain trust. But things like these count towards long term trust building. Now, another way to build trust is communication. How effective your communication is, and one thing which surpasses all of this is how transparent are you as a project manager. How transparently are you able to convey information to your project team? If you have, let's say, a customer requirement, and the customer requirements need to be fulfilled as part of your project, and you know that your team won't be happy by looking at this requirement, by this additional scope of work, you have to be transparent to the team. You have to explain to the team why this customer is so important for us, right? For our business, for our company, and what are the likely outcomes of not delivering this requirement that the customer is asking for. So when you are being transparent, instead of shoving some requirement down the throats of your project team that, hey, this is a customer requirement, you have to do it, right? Rather than that, if you do transparent communication, it definitely helps in building trust. So that is something that you should look for. Look for opportunities to be able to do that. And this is something that the example that I give you is from my real life projects, right? And I quickly learned that a significant portion of my time is focused on communication. Consistently, your communication, goals, expectations, and progress. It helps to establish a transparent environment where team members feel valued and informed. And if you have this transparency is going to foster trust, and it is also going to ensure that everyone is aligned and working towards the same objectives, right? So we go back to the first point here, right? Ensuring that the team is focused. So the team remains focused. You build an environment where you build trust with the team, you build an environment that is transparent, and those are the two lessons that I learned, right? Any project that you're working on, you have to ensure that your team is focused on the goals. For that, you need to ensure that the team is aware of what the goals are. And secondly, you need to work on building trust. My third takeaway from project management career so far is that perception is everything. Perception versus intent and action. This is a good way to discuss perception. Now, perception is basically as important as intent and action, right? A lot of people might think, well, intent, and not just intent, but action is what matters. But I'll tell you that perception also matters a lot in project management. In fact, I would go on to say that perception is everything. And in most environments that I've worked in, constraints prevent every project from being worked on simultaneously or completed as quickly or as fully, as possible, right? As quickly as possible. These limitations might create a politically charged atmosphere with stakeholders who are invested in understanding what is prioritized and why. So, as a project manager, I initially focused solely on my project, assuming that, organizational priority was enough. However, I overlooked how others perceive the impact of my projects. And this is why it is very, very important that what is your perception, right? How do people perceive you as a project manager? Perception is everything. And this is going to help you not just in your career, but also on your projects. What is the perceived impact of the kind of project you're working on? If the perceived impact is very high, it is possible that you can walk up to a functional manager and ask for extra resources. It is possible that you can walk up to your higher management and ask for extra budget so that you can go party with your team and build your team, right? So, all of that is possible based on perception. And that is why I say this is a lesson that I learned. Perception is everything. There will be political environments, you need to navigate that. Various stakeholders will have certain perceptions about your project. They might believe that it's diverting, let's say, funding and resources from other projects to you, right? All of that is possible. So you have to understand that these perceptions are crucial, and you should be aware of others in organizational view as well, right? So your project allows you to address and mitigate potential issues. This can involve engaging with stakeholders that are external to your project as well, and you can explain them what are the benefits that your project is going to derive, right, for your business, for your company, for your customer. So you have to engage with stakeholders here to manage their perception effectively. These could be external stakeholders, these could be internal stakeholders, but you have to meet with concerned stakeholders. You have to address any issues that they might have. You should keep everyone informed about the project's progress, but more than that, the benefits that this project is going to deliver. So that is why I say perception is everything. Perception about your project, perception about you as a project manager. This defines whether or not you are going to succeed in a certain company or in maybe your career as a whole. I have been a lifelong fan of wrestling, and not professional wrestling, but wrestling entertainment, right? And you might have heard about a wrestling character by the name The Undertaker. And I'd like to bring up The Undertaker here because in when he was inducted in the Hall of Fame, He was giving an acceptance speech, and he said, perception is reality. That was one of his takeaways from his career. He said that the way people perceive you, that's your reality. And for the kind of character that he was playing in that wrestling entertainment business, right? He had to ensure throughout his career that there is a certain perception that people have about him for him to be able to succeed in his career. So he said it very nicely. Perception is reality. And I would say perception is everything when it comes to your career as well. Now, let's talk about technical project management knowledge here, because we have talked about the soft side of things a lot. It doesn't mean that you as a project manager need not know about the technical side of project management, right? So knowing technical project management is very, very important. This is where the study of project management comes into the picture, right? You should know how to create a project schedule. You should know cost management. You should know about risk logs. You should know about documentations. You should know about the different phases of the project. You should know about the life cycle of project, right? All of these are very, very important. But one thing that I'd like to point out here is that you need to be able to balance the tools that you use as a project manager and your approach as well. So I was fresh out of college when I joined a company as a project manager, and I knew, the science of project management, right? I knew about the phases of the project management life cycle. I knew about the different documents. I knew about how to do risk management and all that, right? All of that is fine. All of those are the tools. But as you gain more experience, you will realize that the way you approach documentation is also important. The way you approach risk management is also important. So that is why, the fact of the matter is, project management as a field is not just science, it is an art as well. So having technical project management knowledge is fine, but it should take up most of how you manage your project, right? The most part of how you manage your project should be coming from the science way of things, right? And when I say art and science both, what I mean is, whatever that you study about project management, whatever that you're going to study about project management when you're preparing for your PMP or CAPM or any other certification for that matter, all of that is the science of project management. But there is an art as well which is involved, and this art is something that you're going to develop as you gain more experience in project management. The art side is the soft skills. The art side is being able to wear that project management hat when issues arise. The art side is to successfully deal with a certain, let's say, conflict within your project. And this is the reason why PMP exam does not ask you define project schedule, define project cost management, define risk management. It's not asking you for definitions. It is giving you certain scenarios, and it is asking you as a project manager, what are you going to do? And this is also the reason why, when you appear in project management interviews, nobody is going to ask you, or, very, even 20% of your interview is going to be focused on these definitions of, define gold plating, define scope creep, and all that. But 80% of your job interview is going to be focused on the art side of project management, not the technical side of project management, because people want to know, as an art, how well you understand project management, because project management is both art and science. So having technical knowledge of project management is important, but the art of project management is also equally important, if not more. So this is why a lot of people that get degrees in project management, that get certifications after certifications after certifications in project management, they are still struggling for a job, or they are still struggling in their jobs. Why? Because they know the science part of project management. It's the art domain of project management where they are struggling. So, while technical project management knowledge is important, do not forget that project management is also an art which you should develop as you grow in your career. Finally, let's talk about re-evaluating projects. And this becomes important because there's this association that people develop with their projects, right? Nobody wants to reevaluate a project after spending 2 months in it already. And we have a fantastic podcast on this topic with Elizabeth Herron. I will try to add a link to that podcast in the description of this video. Definitely check that out. And we talk about how sunk costs come into the picture, how there's some attachment that people may have with projects, right? But it is important that you should reevaluate projects. You should know when to reevaluate your projects, right? I in my career I underestimated how some initiatives which were projects of course may not continue to align with the organizational goals after their initiation. So once a team begins a project and invests in early activities like defining scope, gathering requirements and designing, they become so invested in the project that they do not want to reevaluate it. You have to champion the viability of the project, right? So it's natural to champion projects and their intended goals, but all projects encounter some challenges. You have to make the tough decision to evaluate the project's viability after the initial investment as well. So the investment could be in terms of dollars, it could be in terms of efforts that you and your team has put together, and you have to learn from these project challenges, right? So the this experience basically, the experience of reevaluating projects, it taught me the importance of knowing when to reassess and potentially halt a project that no longer aligns with organizational objectives. But then I would also want you to think about your career objectives as well. If you are working in a company as a project manager, that maybe their projects are about writing content for a lot of websites out there, how is chat gpt and generative AI in general going to impact your company and your industry as a whole? This is where you need to reevaluate not just the projects that you're working on, but also the company or the industry that you are working in, right? So, just because you have spent so many years, so much effort, you've delivered so many projects, it doesn't mean that you think about all these years that you have spent and you cannot start anew, so you stop, you do not reevaluate your career or the kind of projects you're delivering, right? This is why I say it is very important to reevaluate your projects, and not just your projects, even your career, as you climb up the ladder, as you spend more time and gain more experience in project management. Because it is possible, if you're working for a company like this where customers are going to be starting to use chat gpt instead of hiring your company for writing the content, it might be time for a career switch, it might be time for an industry switch, right? So these kind of revaluation are going to help you do that. So always try and reevaluate your projects, the kind of work that you're doing. Is it still delivering value? Is there something in the market that has disrupted the kind of value that you are providing? Now here's my question to you: what would you like to add here? Are there any lessons that you have learned along the way that you can share with me or with our community? By the way, if you want to discuss your career goals, get your questions answered around the PMP certification, your project management career path, if you are working in a different domain and you want to jump into project management domain, you can get in touch with me using the Lounge Access program, right? So this is, you can take a look at pmclounge.com/access. Make use of this program. take advantage of this opportunity. It is aptly titled Lounge Access because remember, we are PMC Lounge. And definitely drop a feedback. It helps us stay motivated, it keeps us going. Head over to pmclounge.com/write and you can write a testimonial for us. Thank you very much and definitely keep learning. Check out these other videos. If you like our work, consider contributing by going over to pmclounge.com/contribute. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I hope you got value out of this live stream. See you around.